All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. So, my name is Emma.
I'm Sam.
I'm Ashley.
And I'm Tegan.
Today, we're going to talk about the Pacific Garbage Patch, a.k.a. the PGP. All right. So, yeah, Ashley, how did all this garbage get there?
Okay, so in general, the Pacific Garbage Patch is the largest accumulation of ocean plastic in the world. It is also located between Hawaii and California. Scientists of the ocean cleanup have conducted the most extensive analysis ever of this area, which is really interesting.
Yeah, so how big is the Pacific Garbage Patch?
Oh my goodness. It's estimated to be 1.5 to 2.41 million tons of plastic that are entering each year from rivers and that are coming into our oceans. How sad is that?
My goodness.
Well, and I think the most insane part is that microplastics account for 94% of that. There's 1.8 trillion pieces of small plastic in the garbage patch, water bottles, things like that.
Yeah, and talking about microplastics, filter feeders like shellfish, when they feed, they breathe in and consume these microplastics, and that inevitably comes into our food source.
Mm-hmm. And going off of that, I think it's also interesting to think about and look at the fact that there is 46% of the entire mass of the Pacific Garbage Patch is due to fishing nets and different things from fisheries and fishermen. And that's one of the largest markets that's in the ocean right now. So if they are leaving this mess in the ocean, we should probably be coming up with more things to do to get it out of the ocean, considering the fact that we haven't really done much research in the ocean and it's kind of the unknown, and there's already this big problem associated with it.
Also, more than half of this plastic is less dense than the water, meaning that it will not sink once it encounters the sea, which is very sad to think about.
Yeah. See, the interesting thing about that is how it affects local ecosystems. Everyone knows plastic is bad. Large sea turtles, they feed off of jellyfish, and when there's a plastic bag in the water, they think that it's jellyfish and they eat that, and then that could lead to poisoning and just starvation because they're filling their bellies up with plastic and not actual fish. Funny thing is, animals have kind of adapted in a way to all of our garbage. Have been seen using fishing nets as temporary oases in the open ocean, and they will lay their eggs on these drifting plastics instead of, let's say, a natural source like kelp.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, going off of that, once these plastics enter the gyre, they are unlikely to leave the area until they degrade into smaller microplastics under the effects of the sun, water, and the waves, and the marine life in general. As more and more plastic are discarded into the environment, microplastic concentration in the Great Pacific Garbage Patch will only continue to increase, and that's not okay.
And some of you may be wondering, watching this, what does the Pacific Garbage Patch look like? And some of you may already know what it looks like, and some of you may not. And it is not just this big mass that you could walk on like we thought in the 70s, that you could just walk across this big plastic garbage patch. It's actually more like plastic soup, where there's big fishing nets or rope or things like that are stuck in the ocean. And it's plastic soup. So you'll see big portions over in one area and big portions floating in another area, but it's not so much that it creates an island of plastic.
And then this is when why is it in one general spot comes into play. Due to the seasonal and interannual variabilities of the wind and currents, the GP location and shapes are constantly changing. Only floating objects that are predominantly influenced by currents and less by winds were most likely to remain within the patch.
And this is where our involvement comes really big into it, is back to the turtles taking in the plastic bags, eating them, thinking they're jellyfish and stuff. We as consumers need to really sit back and think about the way that us consuming things has an effect on everything around us. And
For sure.
the things that 6-pack bottle rings, plastic bags, single-use disposable plastic bottles, it's all so harmful. And what is the help? Convenience is the cost of the entire like marine
Like,
life.
just think about it. When you go to a grocery store and, they ask you paper or plastic, and most of the time I'll choose plastic or, like, get, like, the sodas with the plastic rings or, like, I don't personally think about that. And, like, that's just the American mindset.
Based off of that, I would like to touch on that and say that it is definitely an American mindset that we have, and we should really work harder. I know the Netherlands is doing the ocean cleanup, which is a project trying to clean up the Pacific garbage patch, and they're in the Netherlands, which really isn't even near, if you guys are familiar with geographic locations, isn't on the Pacific Ocean. It's actually closer to the Atlantic Ocean. But they're working hard at cleaning up the Pacific Ocean and getting that plastic out of the marine life.
Yeah.
And the
Americans
ecosystem.
account for the most garbage in the whole world.
For sure.
The whole world.
And that's the thing. It's like we have ocean cleanup like initiatives here and beach cleanup initiatives, but it's just not something that everyone has really like climbed on board with yet. It's something that we really need to start to like push and really
Make an epidemic almost.
grow. Yeah, of course. Like
Because
insane.
eventually the cycle returns to us.
exactly.
It comes back in our food. We're getting poison. We get cancer. All because of the little things that each and every American does. So my question is, like, what are certain things that we can do to help clean up or prevent further damage to the oceans?
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, obviously some of the biggest things you can do are just, like, be a conscientious consumer. Think about the things that, like, hey, should I buy a 24-pack of disposable water bottles, or should I buy one reusable bottle and use water fountains and those sorts of resources? A big one that's going to be really hard for a lot of people is eating less ocean harvested fish, because then that also reduces the amount of fishing done by the large-scale fishing industries that leaves the waste and the nets and stuff from them in the oceans too. Like, I don't think people think about the fact that we can have an effect on the large-scale fishing industry too, but just by reducing the amount of ocean harvested fish that we're consuming. And then obviously like the beach cleanups are really important, and then like reusable shopping bags, guys, like they're so important. They're so great. Like the ultimate cost of a reusable shopping bag is gonna like save you so much in the long run, and it's gonna save our environment so much too. Like,
And it's just learning how to work those things into your life. Although it's not convenient at first, and it's hard to remember that reusable garbage bag when you go to this grocery store. After doing it a couple of times, you'll realize that it becomes a habit, or maybe you'll get into a routine of where you put that reusable garbage bag right back into your trunk or right back into the back seat of your car after you get done unloading groceries. And it's just simple little things that will end up making the biggest difference for our oceans in the end if we all contribute together and work as a whole group. Just to kind of bring it full circle and talk about everything that was mentioned to be found in the Pacific garbage patch. There are things that you see every day, such as hangers, shoes, microplastics, helmets, toothbrushes, and plastic toys, all in the Pacific Ocean right now. So there are so many more things other than just fishing nets and microplastics or styrofoam or plastic water bottles and straws. There are hangers and shoes and things that you wouldn't even think of to be in the middle of the ocean.
That's insane. A clothing hanger in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Like,
I don't think fish are wearing any clothes, so I don't know why they've need it out there.
no.
well, and I think the craziest part about that is people think oh, we're in the Midwest, like we don't have an effect on this, like, oh, we're fine, like, but like it comes from everywhere, like everyone is affecting it.
And being in the Midwest, in Iowa specifically, we have a huge river, the Mississippi River, running right down
Correct.
into the Gulf. So we're directly affecting it, even though we might not think that we are.
Of course, yeah, we really just need to like find a way to get everybody on the same level of like stress about this. Like it's a big issue. It's an epidemic that like we all need to start caring about.
Maybe even come up with more resources for stopping plastics getting into the ocean before they even happen, like buying a bamboo toothbrush or bamboo cups, things like that.
Those are all really good talking points. And I believe we are all wrapped up, right? We're all
Yeah.
done here.
Cool.
All right, so thank you guys for tuning in. We will see you guys next time.
Thank you.
Bye.